afternoon, everyone. My name is General Emily Castro, and today I'll be presenting the American Colonial period and the Puritan literature. So, before that, we already know what is the meaning of the colonial period. It is how the high power countries colonize or take control over the country who are not powerful, just like what happened in the Philippines and the Japan and America, where the Japan and America colonized Philippines. And that time, diba, we are enslaved, we are in a great loss, and naka independence due to nga gi-fight na sa ato ang mga countrymen ang atong country. So, American colonial period is started in the 1607 and ended between the year of 1776 and 1783. So this period coincides with the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and the end of the Revolutionary War in 1783. So America colonized in the year of 1607 and ended up in the year of 1776 in the Declaration of Independence and 1783 in the Revolutionary War, or the end of Revolutionary War. So that's how the colonial period of America ended. But before that, we will first delve how the America colonized and what country colonized them. So what is the central focus of colonialization in America? So the eastern part of North America, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, and east of the Mississippi River to the Atlantic coast, was the primary focus of colonialization. So this area was already home to the Native Americans, just like indigenous people of America, the Cherokee people, the Lakota tribes, and the Algonquin tribe, which is that area is already nga ilang gi-occupied. But then, there are various European powers, including the English, the French, the Dutch, Portuguese, and Spanish, nga wanted to colonize that area that was caused a conflict to those Native Americans nga naglive na dito na place, which is they compete to the resources and land. That's why that causes a conflict to those settlers or colonists and the Native Americans, which is nag-cause siya og fight sa Native Americans and the settlers and the colonists. So the 13th British colonies, also known as the 13 colonies or the colonial America, were established during the 17th and 18th centuries. These colonies grow both in size and population, expanding to westward and reaching from Maine to Georgia by the time of the Revolution. So these people, not just like sa European powers where they settle, where they nagbalhin sila, these British colonies is that they already in the North America in the 17th and 18th century. But the problem is that they expand sa size and population. That's why nga nag-cause po sila conflict to those Native Americans. So the colonies' expansion often came at the expense of the Native Americans and was marked by competition between Great Britain and France for control of North America. It is because that the expansion of the British colonies caused a huge impact to those Native Americans, because that causes them to lose their resources and land. And that time, the Great Britain and France wanted to take control of the British colonies. And that time, the British colonies wanted to break the dependence to the Great Britain, since they wanted to take control over their own country or their own place. And the France wanted to take control the America that time. It is because of the resources, the land, and the fur trade. This 13 British colonies is that gibuo siya sa country nga, or gisupport siya sa country nga Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. These countries are those nga nagbuo sa British colonies, and there are countries nga hesitant to break the dependence of the Great Britain to, or they wanted to break their dependence to Great Britain. So this country is the Pennsylvania and New York. So they are hesitant to break or to declare independence. It is because Great Britain might cause a war. So they are hesitant since gamay naman ilahang countries compare sa Great Britain. If it's war, lupig yun sila or mapildi yun sila. That's why, but the other countries or other colonies is ano sila ano sila na break sa independence. Na-convince sila sa uban nga countries or sa uban nga colonies nga break og independence against the Great Britain. No? It is because of the political and economic reasons. So there's a lot of nga ano sila tax but then they are not recognized. They are gabayan sila tax but then they are not kaning contributing to the country nga ilang gianuhan but then they are contributing to the Great Britain ana nga time. So the colonies were known for their large families driven by economic opportunities and readily available land. Despite hardship and disease, the population grew rapidly. So this time, they are not just the colonists and the Native Americans encountered a diseases where they get kaning smallpox, measles nga pwede sa ila magka-cause of death. And that's why this time they are kaning gi-accept ang kuan nga early marriage so that they can grow in population and size and to kanang kuan na gid nila ang tibuok na country. So dominate. So the colonies were seen as a land of promise, attracting immigrants from both Britain and continental Europe. So those who are colonies and settlers saw this place as a land of promise where that place attracts a lot of immigrants from not just from continental Europe but from the both Britain, no? So the success of the colonies and their eventual independence from Great Britain had a profound impact on the development of the United States. That is why have a huge contribution to the Eastern US now, which this 13 British colonies is also called now Eastern USA. So the experience of colonializations, including the struggles of land and development of the unique colonial identity and the fight for self-governance, all shape the nation's future. So we can see how diverse the United States today is, have a great kaning contribution ang mga colonists ug mga settlers ana. Despite sa hardship nga ilahang gi-encounter, they are still nga nagtukod or na palaya ilang country from those kaning from the Great Britain and those who wanted to colonize or wanted to take control them. So Puritan literature, 1620 to 1750. So it is a literary movement that reached its peak popularity in New England around the 17th century. So the goal of Puritan literature was to uphold the Word of God and the Bible. So the goal was also to make the religion of Puritanism more accessible and relevant to the day-to-day person. So their only goal is to uphold the Word of God and the Bible and to make the person connect with the Word of God through their literature. Puritans or these Puritan people or the Pilgrims was a part of European power who traveled out of frustrations because they wanted to reform the Church of England, but Charles the First is resisted the Puritan to call for reform as he thinks, or Charles the First thinks, that the Puritan or the Pilgrim is a threat to his authority since di ba when mapansin nato na ang England is hierarchy, so it is ruled by a queen, a king, and the church is ruled by the pope and the pope, priest, o bishop, di ba? Inana man dyan ng kuan sa simbahan. So, the Puritanism is reject the idea that that's a lot of authority. So, the Puritan also wanted nga ang authority is that the supremacy ragid sa Bible, which is the Catholic is nagbelieve sa o ga-emphasize sa Pope and Bishop, which is the Puritan rejects. And the Puritanism believes that the only supremacy of the Bible as the source of religious authority, or the main source of authority, is the Bible. So that's why Charles I didn't recognize the Puritanism call for a reform, since he believes that the Puritanism or the Pilgrims is that kaning hadlang sa iyahang authority or sa iyahang pagpamahala. So out of frustrations, they came to North America for a reason. So there's a lot of reasons, but then the first reason, or the significant reason, is that they wanted to have a freedom, specifically the religious freedom, where they can able to enhance, they can able to kanang tuhon ilang belief o ilang religious nga gusto nga tuhan nga dili magbase sa mga proper beliefs sa Catholic. So what is Puritanism? So if you're going to understand what is Puritan literature is, you need to know a thing or two about the Puritanism. Both rose to popularity in the 17th century in the New England area located in the United States. Puritanism is a religious movement believed that cleansing the church of all its remaining Roman Catholic ties. Its followers, dubbed Puritans, live by moral and religious code not only influence their own lives but so to impact the lives of everyone around them. So they're just like what I said earlier, that their goal was to uphold the Word of God and to connect the people to the Word of God and the Bible. So that is what Puritanism is, or the Puritan literature is. Or the central characteristic of the Puritan literature. So the first one is that Puritan literature relied on a first person's narrative. So they relied on the first person's narrative. Puritan authors approach writing from a personal point of view. Is not just a style nga gibuhat nila nga first person's narrative, but because the writings coming is a form of journals, diaries, and day-to-day experience. So by writing, so they believe, the Puritan literature, or the Puritan authors believe that by writing from a first person's perspectives, their thoughts will be conveyed from the authors speaking about himself, that can connect people to the God, or can able to change the perspectives of people who read their literature to connect with God. So that's what they believe, no? That's why they use the first person's narrative. It's not just for a style, just like what other kanang ginabuhat. So what, because nga in order for them nga ma-share ilang personal experience, personal struggles, and sin nga nag-cause sa ilang nga mo change. And kana so nga, or gusto nga kanang gusto pud nila nga ma-change ang perspective sa isa ka tao to change just like what they did, no? In order to believe unsa ilang gitrust, to believe the Word of God, and to connect to the Word of God and the Bible. That's what they believe. That's why it's a first person's narrative, to share their thoughts and feelings nga mag-connect sa people nga magtuo sa ilang gituuhan. Is the Puritan literature relied on religious rather than an entertainment. So, Puritan didn't believe in writing for entertainment. They don't believe that literature is for leisure time, that readers can read if they are bored. So, Puritan didn't believe that idea. So, rather, they thought of writing as a tool to reach people with the story of God. Works focus on realistic message, illustrating the idea that everyone was born a sinner and that his or her salvations had been predetermined, a concept known as predestination. So, we believe also sa idea nga predestinations where is kaning ang ato ang ginabuhat is that kanang naay contribution kung ma-impierno bata or malangita. So it's depend on the grace of God, di ba? Kung maluwas or bata dili. So they believe that kani daw literature is that a tool to reach people's mind and soul. So di ba? If a person's read, they will internalize that. They will internalize that they can able to maghuna-huna unsa ilang buhaton, and that time they can able to help people to connect or to trust the God or the word of God, no? As we already born sinner, and sa pata, just like what they said, no, sa pagkabuhi jud nato sinner jud ta, and ang atong buhaton lang gid, ang atong action is that nga makaluwas sa ato. So they believe that it is on a religious purposes rather than an entertainment. That's why they believe that idea. So the next one is that Puritan literature also relied on specific genres, taking into account the first person's narrative and religious focus. Most Puritan literature took the form of sermon, poems, or historical narrative to convey the idea to their reader. There was open and underlying purpose to these types of communication, illustrating their values and the importance of the Bible and the Word of God in their daily lives. So in this way, they can able to narrate their own their experience by the use of literature. Puritan literature relied on a simple style of writing. Puritan lived simple lives. So it stands to reason that their style of writing would mimic the same pattern. So that's why they wanted to reform the Church of England, because there's a lot of papyri. There's a lot of papyri belief, mga sanina, mga revolto nga ginasamba daw sa mga tao, isa't dili sila nagbilieve ana. That's why they wanted to lang yun ang supremacy sa Word of God. So di na sila kinahanglan anang mga sanina which is symbolizes inana. But then they wanted to lang yun, the same pattern sa ilahang life, the same sa sa Ginoo or paglive, just like sa word na nakasulat sa Bible. So Puritan authors used the direct and simple language and sentence to structure to convey their point, shunning the more elaborate styles of writing what was popular in circles at that time. But this time, no, the Puritan relied on a specific writing. It is because not just nga siya that time or prominent siya that time, but then the idea nga bisag kinsa kay pwede makabasa sa ilahang writings, bisag kinsa nga edad is pwede makabasa sa ilahang writings as long as makabasa ang isa ka tao. So they are not nag-restrict ana nga edad nga kana lang ang makasabot ana nga writing. So they wanted nga everyone can connect the word, everyone kay maibol nilang makonect sa Word of God. The next one is that Puritan literature relied on a biblical allusion. Biblical allusions or reference to the Bible events and characters were used heavily in Puritan writing. Many authors would compare themselves or current struggles to hardship endured by characters illustrated in the Bible. So they ilahang ginabuhat ang ilahang hardship, ilang struggles kay mapariha or ilang gina-reference ang Bible sa ilang mga kaagi, just like sa kay Anne Bradstreet sa iyang 10th news lately sprung up in America, no. This is a collection of 100 poems along on a short poems nga about sa iyang life, how struggles, but then ang iyang belief, ang iyang strong belief sa God mo ay nagpa-stand sa iya until now, mo ay nagpa-strong sa iya until now, and that somewhat siya nga part is that maka-convince sa tao nga there is a lot of challenges nga mag-adto sa ato, but then if we keep trusting to the God and keep jud sa Word of God, still na jud tay chance nga magkuan pa, maglambo or mag-survive ani nga kalibutan. So that is kaning ni Anne Bradstreet, which is 100 poems na siya, 100 collection of poems, which is a talks lang din sa iyang kinabuhi, which is dire under siya sa kanang biblical allusions, which nga gina-represent niya ang kanang kuan or ginahimo niya nga reference ang Bible or mga katong character sa Bible nga kaning na inani iyang naagian or inani ang iyang struggles nga nagian, but then still continues nga nag-survive siya till today. So the next one is that Puritan literature relied on fear. In many works, authors relied on the reader's sense of fear about God and helped to effect change in the reader's mind and soul. So by using fear to reach the readers, the authors thought there was a better potential for change. So, after all, sinners who did not conform to the religious belief were believed to be headed for an eternity of torment in hell. So, diba, mahadlok pang dito, just like when I watch kaning Along with the God, where kanang diba, even though kaning nag-sacrifice siya to save lives of other, no, na dili pagid siya acceptable nga kanang layo sa tormented sa hell, kay daghan man day gyapon siya isala nga nabuhat when he is still kanang naglive pa there sa kalibutan. But then diba, kana makaparealize sa ato kung nga it is important nga lagi tay fear sa Ginoo. It is because to keep us nga magtuo nga magbuhat og maayo. That's what the Puritan literature nga nag-rely siya sa fear, and the reason nga nagbuhat sila sa fear because they believe nga if ang tao is mahinadlok, there is a change after all. Ana sila dito. So now, we will proceed to the notable Puritan writers and works. So the first one is that William Bradford in 1590 to 1657. So the authors of the Plymouth Plantations, a detailed account of the Pilgrims' journey to America and their establishment of the Plymouth colony. So when we remember the Canterbury Tales, one of the kaning life dito nga gi story is that the Pilgrim's Journey or the Puritan nga mga tao wherein di ba nag-travel ba sila padong padong North America, and that di ba gi kuan ni Geoffrey Chaucer's nga story. So the next one is that Anne Bradstreet in 1612 to 1672. So the first published American poet, known for his work The 10th Muse lately sprung up in America and The Burning of Our House. Her poetry explored the themes of faith, family, and the challenges of life in the New World. So that's kana akong isulti kagainan no nga kaning 10th Muse lately sprung up in America is 100 shaka poems, contains long and short poems no nga it's about kanang faith, family, and challenges nga naiyahang na encounter, but then the reason nga naapa siya or naglive pa siya until today is that the faith of God or a strong faith of God nga iyahang gihawiran. So the next one is that John Winthrop. So, a prominent Puritan leader and a governor of Massachusetts Bay Colony, his sermon, A Model of Christian Charity, outlined the Puritan vision for a just and righteous society. So, that's the John Winthrop, no? It is 1588 to 1649. And that's end of my report. Thank you and God bless.